Okay, this is the first of several videos for Chapter 3, working with scatter plots and correlation. Okay, so this scatter plot shows the amount of sodium in milligrams and amount of fat in grams in salads from a fast food restaurant with no dressing. Okay, if we look at the setup on this data and what we have, where we have, right, this point right here really is just saying that's our origin, and really we have, right, these 9 data points. Okay, so if we want to describe the relationship between sodium and fat, what we're trying to see is, right, if I look at these data points, right, what seems to be the relationship that we have. And the format of our answer is always going to be of this form. There is a blank, blank, blank relationship, right? There's always going to be 3 things that we talk about. So in this situation, we might say, hey, that there is a moderate, positive, nonlinear relationship. Now, why do we say nonlinear? Well, if I were to come over here and try and think of, right, how I might make a line to kind of get through these dots, I might come over here and I might be like, okay, well maybe that line would kind of represent the relationship, okay? I'm like, well, that really doesn't relate the relationship very well. And then I might say, well, maybe that line, like a little curved line, might represent the relationship well, but even that is not very good, right? It's okay, but it's not great. And so I could say, hey, doesn't seem to be linear, right? And we'll say there is a moderate, positive, nonlinear relationship. Okay? Now, others might look at this and say, hey, right, maybe we could see a line. But if we could, it's going to be weak, right? It still seems to be a positive relationship. And if I was going to say it's linear, right, then it's going to be very weak, right? So the things that you have to talk about when describing a relationship are the strength, right, weak, moderate, or strong. The direction, we're either going to say positive or negative, right, or none, right? Positive if I have a positive slope, negative if I have a negative slope, and if the data doesn't seem to have any slope at all, right, then that's going to be a, right, no positive or negative correlation. We say, hey, there's no association there. Okay? Now, if I look at what would the relationship change to if we were to remove one of the clusters of 3 points. So, for example, if I was to come over here and say, hey, let's take out that cluster of 3 points. Well, now all of a sudden I might look over here and say, hey, you know what? If I take a line and kind of go through those points, it seems to fit through those points really, really well, right? And so if we remove one of the clusters of 3, what would happen? How would we answer that? Pause the video, think of your answer, unpause and check. So if you were to have said, hey, that if we remove one of the clusters of 3, the relationship is strong, positive, and linear, that would be correct, right? The first thing we want to talk about is the strength of the relationship, right? Is it going to be strong, moderate, or weak? Next, right, direction, right? What type of slope do you have? And then finally, is it going to be linear or non-linear, right? Some might describe it in other forms, but really just straightforward, linear or non-linear. Okay, that's a very important concept. Now, you might be surprised to find out that these clusters of 3 really happen to be these 3 salad options, right? And these salad options are either going to be without protein, with grilled protein, or with fried protein. Okay, and this scatter plot analysis is going to be what this unit is about, and we're going to go into detail. How to decide what is weak, moderate, or strong, we're going to discuss in some later videos. Okay, ask questions for clarification where needed, and keep up with all your work.